Artificial insemination by donor can cause tremendous problems. That's why I want you both to think very carefully about it.
Some men hold it against their children in later life. On the positive side, Kathy, the child is yours.
You'll never know who the father is.
We have thought about it, Dr. Miller.
We want this baby. Better it's half ours.
I'll take these for you, George.
Oh, thanks, Jeremy.
Just make your bus with a bit of time to spare.
Mum, I'm sorry. I got stuck in terrible traffic in Great Western Road. How are you?
You shouldn't be driving in that state. Couldn't Martin have come?
Oh, he's busy. He's got a deadline to meet.
No. You should be at home in your state, resting.
Well, what do you think of it? Martin designed it himself. He's terribly proud of it.
Oh, you haven't bought the pram already. Before the baby's born.
Mum, don't be so old-fashioned.
It's bad luck.
I'll fetch Martin down. Make yourself at home. She's here. Oh, try and be nice to her.
What's for dinner? Bat soup.
Oh, Mum, I'm sorry. I should have warned you. That's Martin's hobby.
I hope they don't get into the house. I hate things fluttering around me.
They're tropical butterflies. They need a constant temperature.
Well, it's nice to have you here.
Would you like a drink, Joan?
Not at midday.
Oh, Ian and Uncle Tom are coming round tomorrow for your birthday.
Oh, they could have been here to greet me today, but that's families for you. They all grow up and leave you.
Hello, Jim.
Peter, I don't believe it. Come in. We got a visitor.
Peter! Oh, how wonderful to see you.
You're looking well.
Thank you.
How are you, Jim?
Oh, we're doing okay.
How are things at the office?
Since you left, great. The clear-up rate has doubled, hasn't it, Jean?
I see you haven't lost your scintillating wit.
I never found it to start with.
Well, what are you doing?
I'm running my own security consultancy in Edinburgh. It's my card.
Who's this?
It's my wife, Marta. She's Portuguese. And that's my son. He's 3 months old.
You got married?
We didn't tell anyone. We did it quietly in the south of France on holiday.
You always had to be different. Congratulations.
Thanks. But what I came to ask is, we're having him christened, and I wondered if you'd like to be the godparents.
Godparents? Oh, Jim. We'd love to.
Good.
What are you calling him?
Xavier.
That's a nice name. Go down well in Edinburgh.
She's lonely.
I thought I'd made a good effort.
Martin, I want to tell her about the AID.
Do we have to go into that?
Ian and Uncle Tom know, and one of them says something, and she finds out, and we didn't tell her. I'd feel awful.
How do you think I feel? Everyone in your family knowing.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Nothing to be... You're carrying another man's child because I can't... See reason, Kathy.
Dr. Miller said you might feel like this.
Dr. Miller didn't know that you were going to tell your uncle, that he was going to tell your brother, and now, because of it, your mother's got to know. I'm sorry. He's ours. And I'm going to love him to death.
Mum, there's something I've got to tell you.
What's that?
Well, Martin and I went to a fertility clinic.
Yes?
I had an AID. Well, that stands for artificial insemination by donor.
What are you telling me?
That's it, really. The donor remains anonymous, so we never know who the father is. We've been trying a long time.
Are you saying the baby's not Martin's?
I didn't want you to find out some other way, Mum.
You've got another man's baby inside you.
It happens to lots of couples.
It's unnatural. How can you bring up another man's child?
We don't think of it as another man's child, Mum. We think of it as our own.
I brought 4 of you into the world without having to go to any clinic to have another man's stuff put inside me.
Well, maybe you didn't have the problems we had.
Don't you talk to me about problems. And I brought you all up single-handed.
Oh, Mum, this is different.
You could have adopted. If you were half a man, you wouldn't have put Kathy through something like this.
Get her out of here.
Smiles for your daddy. Smiling for your daddy. Are you smiling for your daddy?
Yeah. Underneath that dummy this morning.
So, this is the wee fella.
What's his name?
Xavier. Xavier?
What's wrong with you? Never seen a baby before. Can I hold him?
Yes, of course.
Don't drop him, sir.
Talking about my godson.
What's all this?
An outbreak of christenings. This is DC Rob Gibson. He's new. His baby's been christened on Sunday. Peter Livingston, Marta. Peter used to be with us.
Hi.
Hi.
Shall I take Javier, Chief Inspector?
Aye. Yeah. Got a lot to do.
Oh, pover'io.
There ought to be a law against it.
Oh,
Daddy.
bringing a baby into the police station?
No, calling a kid Xavier. I mean, Xavier Livingston. What a stupid...
So you finally made it to Inspector.
I hear you got passed over for promotion. That's why you quit the force?
Lure of private enterprise. Full of the 80s.
A real nostalgic, eh?
Actually, I thought a university education was wasted on you lot.
And I thought a security firm was something you formed when you retired.
I thought women were bitchy.
We've come up to the lake just now so I can get some fishing in, and the kids can breathe some country air. Alistair's 2 now, and Glenn will be 4 in 2 weeks' time. Well, that's about it for now, Mum. Sorry we can't be there on your birthday, but we all hope you're enjoying it. Come over to Canada sometime, you'd love it. Yeah, Glenn, come over and wave goodbye to your grandma, eh? That's it. Wave goodbye to Grandma and wish her happy birthday. Bye-bye, Grandma. See you, Mum. Take care. Maybe see you soon, eh? Bye-bye. Bye. Happy birthday.
He looks very smart. You should be ashamed with hair like that.
I like it this way, Mum.
It's a good job your uncle employs you. If he didn't, nobody else would.
Don't go on at him, Joan. Not on your birthday.
Here you are, John.
Oh, did Uncle Tom tell you? They've just got a big cemetery contract.
That's right. 8 grand's worth.
I'll have to go out in a minute.
Oh, leaving us again? You're always rushing out. Never enough time for Kathy.
It's important business, Joan. I've got to see a client.
Nothing's quite so important as your child. Even if he is somebody else's. Well, I'm sorry. I thought everyone in the family knew. I mean, it's not a secret, is it?
Mum! No, Joan, it's not a secret.
Well, then, these things have got to be aired, haven't they?
Not now.
I mean, you're not ashamed of what you've done, Martin. That's what you've been telling me.
I've had enough.
What have I said? I don't understand.
You understand bloody well. Martin, sit down.
Please, please. I don't know why she's like that. I mean, I know she's very bitter because our father left when we were young, but that's no reason, is it? Oh, I wanted her to be around at the birth, but now I'm not so sure.
Would you like us to talk to her?
We'd gladly do that.
Oh, Martin's going to love the baby, I know, but it's as though his mind's being poisoned.
Well, you have to make a difficult decision, Kathy.
It's vitally important you put Martin and the baby first.
You mean send her home?
It's your life, Kathy. It's your future.
Could you talk to her? Make her see it's not unnatural.
I have an idea. Why don't you bring her along to the Gibsons' christening tomorrow? We'll be there. And she can see their baby and hold it.
Though you wouldn't want to embarrass your friends.
No, of course not.
Oh, Ruth! Ruth, this is my mum. This is Mrs. Miller, Dr. Miller's wife. She runs the clinic. Pleased to meet you. How do you do?
Well, I'll see you later, Ruth, okay?
Sure.
Well, next time look out for it,
Hi there. This is Mr. Morton. This is my mother. She's staying with us for a while.
Pleased to meet you. I think we're going to have the Noise Abatement Society here if we don't all get in.
Hi.
Hi.
This is my mother. This is Rob and Michelle. Rob's in the police force. Could my mum hold the baby a moment? She just loves babies.
Sure.
Oh.
Don't you think he's got Rob's eyes?
Yeah.
I can't see it. I can see plenty of me in him, though.
What's wrong with her? I don't think I can put up with it.
Friends, hear the words of our Lord Jesus Christ, who after his resurrection and before his ascension commanded his disciples, saying, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been committed to me. Go forth, therefore, and make all nations my disciples. Baptize men everywhere in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe all that I have commanded you. And be assured I am with you always, to the end of time." Our Lord Jesus Christ, taking upon him the sins of the world, was baptized by...
Mum? What's wrong?
Just leave me alone.
Baptism is a sign of burial and cleansing grace of Christ, and of resurrection to a new way of life, filled with hope.
I'm going shopping with Michelle. You can come if you want.
No, I'll just stay here.
Please yourself.
I might not be here when you get back.
I have tried, Mum. I can't try anymore. I'm sorry. You want to see a doctor.
Your grandmother believed that babies who died unbaptized turned into little butterflies.
You both had strange ideas.
We were both midwives. We brought enough of them into the world.
My God!
What's the matter with him?
Oh, he's had what we call an intussusception. That's an intestinal blockage which can produce a hemorrhage. But don't worry, he's going to be all right. We're just typing his blood, and we're going to give him a blood transfusion.
We know what type he is. He's type O.
We're both blood donors.
Well, we have to check. I'm sure you understand, but come and see him.
Remarkable. Dr. Rossi,
quite remarkable.
Care to share it with us?
It's the first time I've ever seen one of these. That is a New Guinea birdwing. Magnificent specimen. I've got one at home on a stamp.
That's very interesting. I'm sure Taggart will be glad to hear it.
Regarding her, I'd look for something long and thin.
Like a knitting needle?
Yes.
Yeah, there's one in the room. The other one's missing.
Looks as if she was dragged in here.
Who found her?
I did, Inspector.
Name?
Ken Morton. I'm the minister of North Church.
Can I ask what you were doing round the back?
Kathy, her daughter, she's in my congregation. Her mother took ill in church yesterday. I just came round to see how she was.
Round the back?
Well, I got no answer at the front. It seemed the logical thing to do. I have been here before. Seen her husband's butterflies.
When you say she was ill, what do you mean?
She just ran out of the church as though she was going to be sick. Kathy told me after she had a phobia about butterflies, and one landed beside her in the church. Some people are afraid of the strangest things.
You mean a real pathological phobia?
Yes. Possibly something that happened in her childhood.
So, knowing she had an irrational fear of butterflies, you went to look for her in a conservatory full of them?
Oh, I think this could be interesting. Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. A bit of space, please.
What's wrong? What's happening?
Are you Kathy Adams?
Yes, what's wrong?
I'm sorry. It's your mother. Come in.
She said she might not be there when I got back.
Might not be there.
Meaning she might have gone home.
The disagreement with your husband, what was that about?
I can't say.
I'm sorry, you have to.
It's my baby. It's not Martin's. It was conceived by artificial insemination by donor. Mum thought that was unnatural.
And how did Martin take that?
He rowed with her about it. She kept saying he was only half a man.
Where was your husband this morning?
He left for work at 8:30.
Did they have a row this morning?
No.
Who did you go shopping with?
I was supposed to meet a friend in town, but she didn't turn up.
Name?
Michelle Gibson. Her husband's a detective constable here, Rob Gibson.
But I don't understand. You're telling us that Scott's blood group B. That's impossible. We're both blood group O.
As we told you, we're both blood donors. We know about these things.
I'm sorry, but there's no doubt.
How can it possibly be?
Could you please leave us, Doctor?
I'll be in the office if you need me.
Rob, some mistake must have been made at the clinic.
But how?
I don't know how. I know what you're thinking. There was never anybody else. There's no way there could have been.
They're usually back from lunch at this time. I don't know what's... Ah. Dr. Miller, this gentleman is...
I want to see you in your office.
What's the problem, Mr. Gibson?
I'll tell you what the problem is. We came to this clinic because we've been trying for years without success to have a baby.
Why don't you sit down and try to be calm?
How can I be calm? I've just found out I'm not the baby's father.
That's impossible.
He had a hemorrhage because of an intestinal blockage. He needed a blood transfusion. He was typed as blood group B, and he didn't get that from either Michelle or myself.
There has to be some mistake.
Oh, there was a mistake, all right, and it was made here. What I want to know is how.
I really am at a loss how to account for it.
There is no way here that your semen could get mixed up with that of a donor.
I performed the operation myself. It was a straightforward transfer of your semen to your wife because of the hostile mucus at the neck of her womb.
But it wasn't straightforward, was it?
What are you doing back? What's wrong?
Michelle's fine. Scott's out of danger.
What happened?
Something called an intussusception. Intestinal blockage. Caused him to hemorrhage.
You really shouldn't be here.
I need to talk.
Got a friend of yours in, Martin Adams.
Martin?
Yeah, involved in a domestic. It was his mother-in-law we found murdered this morning.
Can we...
Sit down. You sure you're all right?
Why should he kill her?
His wife was carrying another man's child. They had it by an anonymous donor at one of these fertility clinics. Kathy's mother, well, she'd been needling him about not being able to produce his own children. Looks like it boiled over.
The Carlton Clinic?
Yeah. How'd you know?
Mike, can I talk to you in confidence?
Of course.
Michelle and I went to the clinic too. That's where we first met Martin and Kathy. Michelle had this problem, and we had to have Scott by artificial insemination.
Donor?
No, not donor, mine. Only I've just found out he isn't mine. I had to type his blood for a transfusion. Mike, he's got a different blood group. I've just come from the clinic. Dr. Miller didn't seem to want to give an explanation.
Come on, Martin. We know how it is. Every word she said was a blow to your pride. No man can put up with that.
I went to work. Kathy was in the house. She was the last to see my mother-in-law.
You could have come back. You didn't get to the office till 11:10. Your mother-in-law was murdered at 10 o'clock. That gave you an hour and 10 minutes to do it and clean up. Then you dragged the body in among your butterflies, where it wouldn't be discovered till later.
I didn't kill her.
Did she have a go at you this morning?
No.
No aspersions on your virility?
No! I went out of the house without even speaking to her.
That's a nasty temper you've got.
How would you feel? Have somebody rubbing it in that you're incapable of having children?
That's exactly your point.
Think he's cracking, sir?
Any more aspersions on his virility, and he would have cracked you.
Sir, can I talk to you about something delicate?
How delicate?
Very delicate.
What does it have to do with the Adams?
It's maybe nothing, sir. Only Rob and Michelle are their friends, and they went to the same clinic.
This is a simple domestic. It's no more than that.
According to Rob, there's no way a mistake could have been made at that clinic. He provided the semen, and it was injected straight into his wife. The only way a mistake could have been made was if Well, it wasn't a mistake.
What are you telling me? You want to investigate a suspicious birth? Gibson, take care of it with the BMA or whatever it is. We can't get involved.
I know it's a bit out of left field.
Left field, Michael? It's off the pitch. Well, be discreet.
Colin, there are some police officers to see you.
You better let them come in then.
Will you come in, please? Would you mind just waiting outside, Mrs. Miller?
Yes, I would. I want to know what this is concerning.
I'm Detective Inspector Jardine. This is Detective Constable Reed. We're colleagues of Rob Gibson, who attended the clinic here.
Won't you take a seat?
You probably know what this is about.
Yes, I had guessed.
Well, do you have any explanation?
None at all.
And you're not even prepared to venture one?
It's a mystery, isn't it?
I'm sure we can come up with an explanation given time. Though it's hardly a police matter, is it?
Yes, I mean to say this has just been thrust upon us.
There are ways, of course, of finding out who the father is. By DNA fingerprinting.
That takes time. You probably want to know before then. Ruth, would you mind leaving us alone, please?
Well, you can all carry me out bodily if you like.
Well, I knew all this would come out one day. I just didn't expect it to be today.
You knew what would come out?
I'm the baby's father.
Why?
Why does any man want to be a father?
You deliberately...
Used my own, yes.
Was this the first time?
No.
In those cases where artificial insemination was by a donor, it must have been more tempting for you.
It was.
Are we talking about one child or 3 or 4?
About 60. Ruth can't have children. Seems strange, doesn't it? A fertility clinic doctor whose wife can't have children.
You impregnated 60 women.
Not that many. Some had twins. You see, look, I've wanted to tell somebody about this for some time. The more I did it, the easier it became, and nobody might ever have known. Well, I walk down the street now and I think, that's my child. My line. And that gives me more satisfaction than you can know.
A couple called Martin and Kathy Adams. They were having a baby by donor insemination. Are you the father?
I've no idea. I never kept any records.
Your child. Your line, and you don't keep any records?
Xavier Livingston.
I've been on to the PF. They haven't a bloody clue what to charge him with.
Well, if they haven't, I'm sure I don't.
What about fraud, sir?
There's never been a crime like this in this country. I mean, is it even a crime?
It's even worse than that, sir. A donor shouldn't be used for more than a dozen or so donations. Otherwise, there might be too many offspring with the same father in the community. They might, unknowingly, grow up and marry each other.
Has it anything whatever to do with Joan Matheson's murder?
It's hard to make any connections, sir. But we can't ignore it. The Adams are on the list.
Along with somebody else we know.
Stay out just now, Rob.
Look, I want to know. I want to know who my kid's father is. It's him, isn't it? Dr. Miller. Well, isn't it?
I'll kill him.
You're in enough trouble, Martin.
I didn't murder my mother-in-law. I never saw her after I left for work, okay? Now leave us alone. God knows we need it.
Does it matter?
What do you mean, does it matter?
Who the father is? He's still going to be our baby.
He's not going to be ours. He's going to be yours and his. Imagine what your mum would have made of that.
Don't talk about her that way.
You could consider professional counselling.
Professional counselling? We had professional counselling from the man that did this.
Oh, I don't think so. You wake the baby. Had a good day.
Not over yet.
We better get home and put him to bed.
No. No, don't go yet. Jean, you and Martha go to the kitchen, make a bit of supper. I want to speak to Peter on his own.
What can be so important?
Plenty.
Come on. Come to Mommy. There, that's it. Oh, who's a sleepy boy? Huh? Oh. Baby, baby, baby.
Okay, what's all this in aid of?
Peter, I was always like a father figure to you.
Jim, you were a lot of things. A father figure was never one of them.
This is difficult. But I want you to know before the papers get hold of it. And they will by the morning.
Get hold of what?
The Carlton Fertility Clinic. I believe you and Martha went.
How do you know about that?
Look, the point is...
No. No, the point is I asked you and Dean to be godparents, not to go probing into my life.
I know the boy was born by donor insemination.
You don't know anything.
I'm not interested in what problems you had.
Good. Because they've got nothing to do with you.
Dr. Miller is the father of your son. And the father of about 60 other children in Glasgow. Thought you ought to know.
Well, the PF decides what charges to bring. Our advice to you is to get out of Glasgow. As far out as possible.
For your own safety.
Can't the police guarantee us safety?
Against 60 angry husbands who would like to lynch you.
Some friends of ours have a holiday home. We can stay there.
And be fugitives?
Only until my trial comes up. There will be a trial, I take it.
Almost certainly.
Can you get rid of those press that are camped outside? I really don't want my picture all over the papers.
Give them a break. Do none of you ever want to be a father?
Are they still there?
Vultures.
I'm sorry, Ruth.
You destroy our careers and you say sorry?
Couldn't help it. So easy to start with. A dozen children or so who would ever have known.
So why didn't you stop? I wondered why... It was always there at the back of my mind, why you had to be at every christening. If I'd been able to have children, would it have made any difference?
Possibly.
So it's my fault.
I didn't say that. Our marriage has been wonderful, is wonderful, I mean that. We've never needed children. The clinic made up for all that.
You made up for it. My God. When I think of the marriages you've ruined, the couples out there destroying themselves because of your selfishness, the children who are going to grow up hated because of what you are. Did you ever stop to think of that? Oh, don't cry for us, Colin. Cry for them.
Do it tonight or we lose the chance.
I'm a serving police officer. I can't be part of it.
That wouldn't have stopped me.
Just think on it. All of you. Thinking what you're doing.
Miller didn't stop to think what he was doing.
I spent a fortune on fertility treatment. We all did. Raised hopes that turned out to be lies. Can any of you say that your marriage is going to survive this? Because I can.
Come on, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
For God's sake, think of the consequences.
You sit here and think of the consequences. We already have.
See Miller. Just turn around and go home. Oi! Oh, you can't go in there. Try stopping it. Come back, come back. There he is! Oh, come on! One of you must have a mobile phone!
Get out! Get out! Get out, all of you! Get out! Get out! Get out! My house! Get out!
Take him in there! Get him in! Get out! Turn him round!
Get him up!
This is for twins! Close the curtains! The mantle spirit! Open his leg. Come on. Get back. Get back.
Trust my police. Open up. Open up.
Ready?
Open the door. Come on.
Right, you lot.
You're next.
You should know better.
You had no right to keep me in here.
I had every right. Conspiracy, obstructing a police officer, assault.
I never even touched him.
I'm going to throw the book at you.
Well, that's a fine present to give your godson. Go ahead.
What got into you?
Do you know what it's like not being able to give your wife a child? And then discovering the anonymous donor was the very doctor you entrusted.
No reason to take the law into your own hands.
I'd take it again, given half a chance.
You do, Peter. I'll have you hung, drawn, and quartered.
You always were a bully, Jim. I meant to say that to you when I was still in the force.
Well, you should have. Because you might regret saying it now.
You knew what they were doing, and you did nothing.
They tried to involve me.
You knew what they were doing, and you did nothing!
I did nothing, sir. Least I can tell my kid that in 20 years' time when he's old enough to understand. I did nothing, and I'm proud of it.
You are looking at suspension.
So, this is prison. You'd better get used to it. As prisons go, it's got a nice view.
It may not come to that.
Oh, it will, Colin. They'll find something to charge you with. You'll probably make legal history.
Will you wait for me? If I do.
I don't know. How do I know how I'll feel in a few months' time? Don't touch me, Colin, please. Now, just don't touch me.
I need you more than ever now, Ruth. We'll start afresh somehow.
Doing what? Running a grocer's shop, perhaps? Nobody will employ either of us ever again. Our careers are over.
Change our names. It's easy.
I need time to think. That's why I'm not going to be around a lot of the time.
You can't.
Do you expect me just to sit here for weeks?
You're going to leave me alone?
Somebody has to look after the clinic. All that equipment. Even though it is closed. Enjoy the peace and quiet. In a few months' time, when your face is all over the news and you're looking at life from a prison cell, this'll seem like paradise.
Lay off, Adams.
What?
Well, for a while. Joan Matheson had a brother and 3 sons. Find out what you can from them. We need evidence. We haven't got it.
But you still think it's Adams, sir?
It's a family murder, all right. What are you running here? Bonnie baby contest?
They're all Dr. Miller's children. We got them from the parents. I think they brighten the place up a wee bit.
Here are the keys to Joan Matheson's house in Aberdeen. Cheer me up by seeing what you can find. Ugly lot, aren't they?
She's a difficult woman.
poisonous. She didn't deserve what happened to her.
Are you her only brother, Mr. Fleming?
Aye. We were close once. Not for a while, though. Ian over there, he was the last one to leave home. He couldn't go on living with her any longer, so he came down here to work for me. It's not very nice to speak ill of the dead, is it?
I believe you were at this birthday party when she made remarks about the child not being Martin's.
It was a cruel thing. She knew it was cruel, of course. She liked to stab us all in the back.
Why?
She was a bitter woman. Her husband left her when she was 28, with 4 children to bring up on her own. She tried to cling on to them, but one by one they left her. She never forgave them.
So why did Kathy invite her down here?
Good question.
Do you have the answer?
She was always closer to Joan than the boys, being the only daughter. Kathy was always big-hearted. Too big-hearted.
Oh. Who are you?
I live at the bungalow up the road. Joan asked me to keep an eye on the police.
Oh. I'm Detective Constable Jackie Reed from Maryhill Police Station in Glasgow.
I thought somebody would come. Terrible business. I drove her to the bus station. Excited she was at the thought of seeing her daughter, being there at the birth.
How long have you known her?
For 30-odd years. Knew all her family. Saw them grow up. Lovely children they were.
She was a midwife, I believe.
And her mother before her. Old-fashioned she was. Superstitious.
In the 20th century?
Oh, the old superstitions. They die hard. She used to say, unbaptized babies turned into butterflies if they died.
Butterflies?
Scared of them she was. Ran a mile. Like they were the souls of dead children.
Just couldn't cope with the idea of us becoming independent. You turn this thing off! She just couldn't cope with the idea of us becoming independent. She missed my brother Angus's wedding. She said she couldn't find the church, but we reckon she did it deliberately.
He's the one in Australia?
Gavin, he's the one in Canada. She went to his wedding, but she ignored his wife all the way through it.
And Kathy's wedding, what about that?
Kathy's different. She kept in with Kathy, in spite of Martin. Nobody in our family killed her. She was her mum, whatever else she was.
She wasn't Martin's mum.
He loves Kathy. He wouldn't have done it.
Your brother's coming over for the funeral?
Would you travel halfway around the world for one?
If it was my mum, yeah.
Look, all that birthday video stuff. Kids being bounced, forced to sing happy birthday. It was a charade. Kathy's charade.
Mr. Watts? Mr. Watts?
The calls. Part of the fetal membrane which sometimes clings to an infant's head at birth.
Where do they come from?
Probably from the heads of infants.
Joan Matheson was a midwife. So was her mother before her.
They were often regarded as powerful talismans. One was supposed to protect its owner from drowning. Many sailors used to pay high prices for them.
Didn't bring Joan Matheson much luck, did they?
What about this, sir?
Better check it out.
So you want me to go to Fife now?
Yeah, and try and stay out of burning houses.
And another thing. The next time your life is in danger, don't hang about to pick up evidence. Get out of there fast. I don't want your corpse on my hands as well. Now, is that clear?
I sincerely hope the occasion won't arise again, sir.
Same weapon, Jim. Knitting needle.
He was probably killed so he couldn't identify who set fire to the house. A guy like that would probably notice every car that went past.
Why set fire to the house?
To destroy something? Or everything.
He certainly succeeded. The place was gutted. Find out what Martin was doing last night and everyone else in the family.
Could I be reading too much into the choice of weapon?
I felt some cake. Do you want to feel? Oh, it doesn't matter that he's Dr. Miller's. He's a baby. That's what we always wanted. Try and love him.
How can I?
It's just the same as not knowing who the father is.
How can you say that? Of course it's not the same. How can I even pretend he's mine? I've thought about it. We have him adopted and we try again.
No. No!
People don't fit into the nice, easy roles you want them to, Kathy.
I want him, Martin. And I'm going to have him.
You have him.
Order some pipe tobacco.
Oh, thank you.
And that.
Yes, I heard the news on the radio.
I also bought some fish for lunch.
I've You abandoned all faith in me?
He was at home with me all evening.
You wouldn't be covering up for him, Mrs. Adams.
Why should I cover up for him?
Wives do.
If I had to cover up for Martin, I would. But I don't have to.
Can you tell me why your mother might have kept this?
No.
We found it in a chest in the attic.
She was a hoarder. She kept lots of things.
Along with a number of these.
Snap. She said I was born with this. That it would bring me luck. A fat lot of luck.
So when's the baby due?
3 weeks, 2 days, and 15 minutes. Are you a father?
No.
What would you do if you were Martin?
I don't know.
Could you learn to love another man's child? You couldn't, could you? Mum said it was unlucky to buy the pram. Maybe she was right in some things after all.
Excuse me. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm Detective Constable Jack Reed from Glasgow. Is Mrs. Moore in?
She's down on the beach.
Right, thanks. Mrs. Moore?
Yes?
I'm Detective Constable Jackie Reed from Glasgow. I'm investigating the murder of a Mrs. Joan Matheson.
What's it got to do with me?
She had a newspaper cutting in her possession. I've got a copy of it. I wondered if you'd like to take a look at it.
Oh, my God.
He was your husband, wasn't he?
This was over 20 years ago. Why do you have to bring it up now?
I'm sorry if it's painful for you.
I've never heard of her.
Maybe you'd like me to repeat the name? Joan Matheson. She lived in the village of Afford in Aberdeenshire.
I told you. I've never heard of her.
Maybe your son has?
No good asking him. He's the thickest of the lot. He wouldn't have heard of Robert the Bruce.
How many children do you have?
5. None of them live at home except him. You're wasting your time, miss. Some people just collect newspaper cuttings.
No, this wasn't a collection. This was just one. Did your husband ever own one of these?
What the hell's that?
It's a caul. It's part of the fetal membrane of a newly born infant. Sailors use them as talismans.
Ronnie just liked messing about in boats. When his work at the hospital let him. He wasn't even a very strong swimmer.
He tried for years. He's no right to tell you to have it adopted. You have him, Kathy. We'll all help you look after him.
I just don't want to have to choose between them, Ian.
You've got to make sure the baby feels loved. They know, even inside there, Kathy. Maybe when he's born, Martin will see differently.
He won't. I know he won't. Dr. Miller said that babies born by donor insemination can become levers in domestic battles.
Well, that bastard should know.
You have him adopted, and you'll never forgive Martin. It'll destroy your marriage. And you want to lose both of them. Ian's right. God knows you've tried hard enough. Miller's maybe the baby's father, but you're his mother.
Mrs. Miller,
I'm sorry. The clinic is closed.
DCI Taggart. Must have been quite an ordeal for you.
You're quite a believer in understatements.
Have you had any more trouble?
Not since we moved. I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
You must have a very forgiving nature.
You must have misheard me. I didn't say that. What did you want to see me about?
You met Joan Matheson when Rob Gibson's baby was christened.
Very briefly. We were just introduced, that's all.
How did she seem?
Nervous. Strange, but then Kathy told her who I was. I put it down to that.
Did you go to every christening?
No, my husband did.
Why did you go to this one?
Kathy wanted us both to meet her mother, that's all.
Wasn't it a bit tactless at a christening?
No one else would have known who we were. There were lots of babies being christened that day. Besides, parents that we've helped often liked us to be there in the background.
But your husband had his own reasons.
Is that everything?
No. It's just one other thing. Did you see her when she ran out of the church?
Yes.
I suppose phobias make people do irrational things like that.
I am not a psychiatrist, but yes, I suppose phobias do.
Where would this phobia come from? About butterflies?
All our deepest fears start in one place. Childhood.
Some things even too much for you, eh?
I left him last night about 7:30.
And was he alone?
The shredder was cutting out. He was finishing servicing it.
Did anything happen last night between you and your uncle?
Just, Kathy came round, that's all.
What about?
To talk.
About anything in particular?
The baby.
What about the baby?
Martin didn't want her to keep it. Wanted her to have it adopted. Tom and I told her Martin was being unfair.
Just unfair.
Tom said if it was a choice between the baby and Martin, she should keep the baby.
And your sister was the sort to tell Martin that?
Kathy never could keep a problem to herself.
You put me in a compromising position, Peter.
I'm sorry.
What am I supposed to do? I can't get charges dropped because you're once my partner. Because I'm going to be your kid's godfather.
I know that. I came round because I know I compromised you. Okay? Do you still want to be Xavier's godfather?
Of course I do.
Good. I still want you to be.
When I'm a bully.
I was emotional.
You were telling the truth.
Just try to understand why I did what I did to him. He'd have done the same. He'd probably have gone further.
Probably.
Xavier looks like me. At least I've got that. One day I'll have to know the truth.
It's all right, Jane. We're still going to be godparents.
Martin and I have arranged the christening for this afternoon.
Why the urgency?
We both felt in the circumstances. The fact is, we both want to go away for a few weeks. And it's important to us.
Jim, in the circumstances.
Taggart. When? Bring him in.
Beautiful, aren't they? Sometimes when the world seems ugly, I come in here to forget.
Right now, it's ugly.
I went round to have it out with him, but there was no answer, so I left. I didn't go into the barn.
Quite a coincidence. You have a row with your mother-in-law, she dies violently. You go to have a row with your wife's uncle, he dies even more violently.
I'm not a violent person.
That's not borne out by the evidence.
What evidence?
Your part in the assault on Dr. Miller.
I was doing what any father would have done. What you'd have done. And you when you were younger. You'll not get me to admit to something I didn't do.
Where did you go after?
To Rob Gibson's house. The copper you suspended for not taking part in the assault. He and Michelle were there. They'll tell you I wasn't covered in blood or covered in anything.
Jardine, Mary Hill? I'm afraid she's not in the office right now. Can I take a message? Ah. Well, you can talk to me if you like. I see. Well, I'll let her know as soon as she gets back. Okay, bye-bye. Ah. Just had a phone call from a Mrs. Moore, woman you went to see in Fife. She wants to speak to you again.
Did she say what about?
Just that it had to be you in person.
I knew she wasn't telling the truth. I knew it.
I'll come with you. What happened? Just stay back, please. Yeah, we're from Strathclyde, Maryhill Police Station in Glasgow. We've come up to interview her. Have you now? About what?
We don't know. She rang to say she wanted to speak to us.
And why should she want to speak to the Strathclyde police? Well, it's kind of a long story. Can we look at the body? Sorry. Not until our people have finished with it. You're out of order, Constable.
Michael, look at this.
We have reason to believe whoever killed Mrs. Moore is responsible for 3 other murders. Then put your information through the proper channels, and I'll look at it. As far as I'm concerned, this is a domestic. It's got all the hallmarks.
That's Mrs. Moore's son.
Can we talk to him? Aye. Maybe. When we've finished with them. Now, why don't the two of you go back to Glasgow, and I'll tell you when. Considering we could have a mass murderer running around Scotland, I don't think it's too much to ask. It's okay, Constable.
Hi there. Do you remember I came up to see your mother?
Yeah, I remember.
Your mother called me this morning. She said she wanted to see me. Do you know what it was about?
No.
We'll try and think. Was it about Joan Matheson or your father drowning at sea?
My father?
Were you there when she made the call?
No.
Look, he doesn't know anything. Now, that's enough.
Look, please, wait.
You're holding up a murder investigation on my patch.
Only... she didn't tell you the truth about that woman.
Joan Matheson?
She used to come over when we were kids, after my father died. We used to call her Auntie Joan, but she wasn't a real auntie.
What was she then?
Just a friend of Mum's.
This was after your father died?
Yeah, right after.
Okay, that's it. Out of the car. If you want any more information, do it through the proper channels. Thanks for your help.
How is he now?
He's fine. Sir, is my career in the police force over now, after what happened?
Doubt it.
I nearly went with them, sir.
Well, you wouldn't be human if you hadn't wanted to.
Shell and I have discussed it. We're going to have another one. One that's really ours this time.
I want to tell you something, Rob. Always wanted a son. Never told anybody this before. I've got a daughter and I love her dearly. But I thought, oh, next time. Wasn't he be?
Sorry.
So was I for a long time.
DCI Taggart was just asking about Martin. You know, being here last night.
That's right. He was. And while you're holding him, his wife's at home expecting a baby.
Maybe we won't hold him much longer. Now listen, you two. When Joan Matheson held your baby in the church, how did she behave?
She was a wee bit peculiar.
How peculiar?
We made a joke about it. It was like he had a 666 in his head.
We're just talking about his features. How he had my eyes. At least we thought he did.
And she gave him back. Without a word.
Maybe because she delivered lots of babies. She knew.
Did she meet Dr. Miller before she went into that church? Now think carefully.
No. I'm quite sure she didn't.
Colin! Colin! Oh my God. Colin!
tried to drown myself. Thought I'd make it look like an accident. I wrote you a letter. But I didn't have the courage.
I swam out there.
I'm sorry.
Why?
You wouldn't understand.
Colin. 2 or 3 years in prison. It won't kill you.
Can't stand the thought of it. I'd rather die than spend a day locked in.
You should have known you'd be found out one day.
So many things about me that you don't know.
I'm trying to come to terms with the things I do.
They're holding Kathy's husband. They don't name him, of course, just an architect, but it's obvious, isn't it? If they charge him, she'll be all alone. With my child. I couldn't stand that. That's why
Over one woman. Why just her?
You wouldn't understand.
Oh, Colin, I'm trying. Do you know what our friends are saying about me? I am the woman so unable to have children that her husband has to impregnate 60 others. God, I'm trying.
That's what they're saying. And they aren't our friends.
If you feel so badly about Kathy, make it up to her in some way, financially, I don't know. Go and see her.
I suppose I could.
Maybe you'll have to pay them all. Financial support.
Yes, maybe I will.
Let's hope you don't have to pay their school fees.
I'll buy them birthday presents.
So, you didn't arrive in time.
We did find out that Joan Matheson knew Agnes Moore. Long time back. Both had quite large families. And both had lost their husbands.
Miss Slade, that would be the better word. Come on, let's play happy families.
You do know you've got a christening to go to, sir?
Plenty of time. Right, I told you. This had all the hallmarks of domestic. Family murder.
I thought that's what we told you.
And we weren't wrong.
Look, don't worry. If anything happens to Martin, we'll bring him up. I'll help you. I'll be the best uncle he ever had. It'll be like when we were small and we used to pretend...
Ian, I don't know what I'd do without you.
Look, I know I've always been kind of, well, like the failure of the family. Mum thought so anyway.
In Mum's eyes, we were all failures.
Look, dry your eyes. You should eat something. You've got 2 to feed now, don't forget. Do you fancy a takeaway? Right, have a rest. I won't be long.
Hello, Kathy. Can I come in? I had to come to see you to say I'm sorry Martin's been arrested. Must be very trying for you.
Please, sit down.
I saw your brother leave. If there's anything financial I can do by way of compensation.
No. Thank you.
If Martin goes to prison, you'll need something.
I hear you may go to prison yourself, Dr. Miller.
Yes, only for a few years, 2 or 3 maybe. I have capital, however, and I want to make up for what I've done.
Why me?
Because you're going to be on your own. And I feel responsible.
The 60 children have heard Dr. Miller. Joan Matheson's 4 children. Note the family resemblance.
We have a bigamist.
Aye. Moore, Matheson, Miller.
Oh, my God.
Forensic removed the beard.
Joan Matheson must have recognised him from that photograph. That's why she went to see Mrs. Moore.
And both women decided to keep it a secret from their children.
That's why Miller killed Joan Matheson, because she recognised him.
Plenty more people would recognise him when he came to trial. That's why he had to kill the others.
Why burn the house?
To destroy the photos of him that remained, unaware that she'd destroyed them years ago.
That means, sir, Dr. Miller is Kathy's...
I know. That's why you'll have to explain it to her very gently.
What a nice house you've got here. Martin must take great pride in it.
He does. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yes, I'd love one, thank you. I'll just look at the butterflies, if I may.
How did you know about the butterflies?
I saw them when I came in.
I just shut the curtains before you...
Then you and Martin must have told me about them.
We didn't. Neither of us.
Perhaps I read about them in the newspaper then.
And how did you know Ian was my brother?
Kathy, don't press me.
How did you know? Unless you'd been here before.
No, look, I need to help. Please, don't you recognize me in the church? Your mother. I committed bigamy, you see. But I swear I had no idea who you were when you walked in the clinic. I had absolutely no idea. I swear.
Oh, my God. You're my father. Help me, please. Help my baby.
Don't make me. Don't.
Don't, Colin! You left this. You told me everything. And maybe that's what you wanted? Would you kill your own daughter as well? And your grandchild?
Sorry, Kathy. I'm sorry.
Don't you think it's a bit late for that?
What do you want?
See your sister.
Michael, that's Dr. Miller's car.
You'll want my husband. He's downstairs.
It's a shame to see them locked up.
Dr. Colin Miller, I have to
Yes,
tell-
yes, I know. I don't have to say anything. But I have a lot to talk about, you see. I'm not afraid. The strongest cages are the ones we make for ourselves.
Let's hope they don't all turn out like him, otherwise we'll have the biggest crime wave this city's ever seen. Cheers.
Cheers.
McVitie. Jem, it's Jean.
God, I forgot. What time is it?
It's time you were at the church, sir.
I don't know what's worse, having a godson called Xavier or the fact that he's the son of a mass murderer.
Having to tell Peter.
You better speak to her.
Jean, I'm in a compromising position.
You'll be in a compromising position when you get here.
I'll be there in 15 minutes. In the meantime, I want you to break something to Peter for me. You'll be good at it.
I can't tell him that. This is a joke. Jim, it'll devastate him.
What'll devastate me? Jim, what's going on? What'll devastate me? Jim? Jim? You there?
Hello, Peter. Yeah, it's Michael here. How you doing? No, I'm sorry, he's just left. He told me to tell you that Jean would explain everything to you. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I don't know anymore. That was a cowardly thing to do.
It's called delegation. And maybe I just think I've done my share. Oh, and Peter?
I'm Michael, sir.
So you are. Tell me honestly, do you think this will affect my street credibility?
Your street cred, sir? I think this will make it.